Hey guys. Thanks for coming to my talk. Alright. So I'm gonna flatten out with you just a little bit. Like it's gonna probably feel like I'm just talking to you because that's how I speak. This is probably like my 6th or 7th talk, I think. But I've only been certified or wild mushroom certified for just about a year, but I've been foraging for a long time. Mushrooms are just a huge passion of mine, and I'm just really passionate and enthusiastic about getting people into the woods, getting people connected just with nature in general, and sort of breaking some, bad generational curses. Like, I don't know how many of you were like me when you go play outside, your grandma or your mama would be like, have fun, just don't eat any berries or mushrooms you find when you're out there, That was my experience growing up anyway. And so my goal is to just kind of help people access this natural wealth that's out here, and to just help them familiarize themselves with some just really good eating, basically. So we'll get right into it.
Sorry, 1 second. We're not. It is a beautiful mountain.
Okay, so like I said, just getting right into it. Some of the benefits of foraging now in our modern lives is that it can help you live just a more natural life in general. If you think about it, like our ancestors, not just like our ancient ancestors, our immediate ancestors were foragers, they were hunters, they were gatherers. They were doing this, just 100 years ago. And so this is something that is not really, it's been taken from us and we're keeping it from ourselves, basically. Because once you start foraging, you're all here obviously because you have some interest. You wouldn't be here listening to my voice if you didn't have some interest in foraging and wild mushrooms and being able to access that natural wealth I was talking about. And in that way, when you do start foraging, I don't know how many of you are experienced foragers, but if you're not yet and you just start dipping your toes into it, you're going to see it feels really good to come out of the woods with a haul. And in the article that he just mentioned that I was featured in August, I said that, whether I come out with a haul of mushrooms or just one, I come out feeling a little bit more human. Because I think we're all living pretty unnatural lives nowadays. Driving through the drive-thru and even going to the grocery store the way we do, it's pretty unnatural if you think about the time of man, right? This is something that's very recent. So getting back and getting into foraging, you're sort of unlocking some of your DNA, I believe, and it's a primal instinct that's within you, and it's very therapeutic. It's just very beneficial. You also get to experience flavors that you can't get from the grocery store. First of all, our soils here in the United States, like commercial farm soils, are stripped of magnesium, a lot of just really important minerals that help you absorb the nutrients and the vitamins that are in the vegetables, or the produce that you're eating from. But wild foods still have these natural minerals. You can get wild mushrooms from the forest that are full of magnesium and then full of, the A, B, C, D vitamins, but that are able to be taken up by your body's circulatory system, by your lymphatic system, by your body's different systems, because mushrooms, many of them, most of them actually are natural reuptake inhibitors. For serotonin, for medicine that you may be taking already, a lot of us are antibiotic resistant because we've been taking antibiotics since we were kids. And they're finding, there's already proof, scientific proof, that turkey tail mushrooms, the ones that we see everywhere, the little, the ones that we always played with on the logs and trees as kids, that taking those and taking a concentrated amount of that daily in conjunction with antibiotics or in conjunction with even chemotherapy, that it just helps the drug work there. And there's, maybe not a lot of understanding behind that, but there's already science that's proven it. So we can argue that, right? And then, like I was mentioning before, this is a way to connect with nature, like in the way that your ancestors this ladder that basically spells out, 14 generations of DNA encoded into that. And like I said, it's only been this short amount of time that you haven't been foraging, essentially, right? So to start that again is just a really good way to connect with nature around you. And as the speaker before me said, to kind of connect with mushrooms in a way that it kind of sound weird to some people, but you can form a relationship with them that's almost like you find yourself treating them like they're non-human people. And that sounds kind of silly at first until you really start doing it, and then you're investing in your honey holes or the areas where you're really finding a lot of mushrooms, and you realize they give back to you and you give to them. And those areas really will produce more mushrooms. And the more you learn about the area, about the symbiosis between the other plants in the area, the trees, the mycological network, the better your yields will be, the better your forages will be, the more you understand the nature around you. Also, obviously, a huge benefit is outdoor exercise. It's just a good way to get outside, a good reason to get outside. I don't like to run. I definitely don't like to go on, what some people would say a head hike. I don't love that, but I find that I can walk 12 miles foraging and I don't even realize that I've gone that far. So it's a really good way to get outside and exercise. And then it's just really an effective, cost-effective, and sustainable way to get good food on your table. I know I'm a single mom, and some of the meals that I bring home, I pretty much wouldn't be able to afford to feed my daughter that if I weren't foraging those foods. Because wild mushrooms are worth a lot of money. You go to any of these restaurants around here and order some of the wild mushrooms on it, you're going to pay. But you can go out, you can access that natural wealth that belongs to you and everybody in here, and then bring that home to your own plate. And there's something you're unlocking in yourself when you do that. And I really encourage all of you to get into foraging. I lead forages in Athens and North Georgia. Josh Wayne is somewhere in here, and he leads them here in Atlanta. There are just tons of good societies and groups to get in with. I just totally encourage all of you to do that. There's just some of the health benefits of mushrooms. There's, they improve heart health. They list almost all the mushrooms that you can find. Any of the mushrooms that are being sold down here, the gourmet mushrooms, they also have medicinal benefits, which is amazing because not much that you can find in a grocery store is gourmet edible and also medicinal, because most things that are medicinal don't taste very good. They improve bone health, they boost your immune system, prevent diabetes, and then also just help regulate for people who already have diabetes. They help keep your glucose levels regulated, which I know for someone I'm really close with is just a huge helper. They help aid weight loss and they help keep blood pressure lowered, and then they also help promote good skin, promote longevity, and are just really good at boosting immunity and lowering inflammation. So some really good health benefits out there beyond just, like I said, the gourmet benefits, and then, like I said, the cost-effective benefits are just out of this world. But just some guidelines to get you started, because before you ever start foraging, the main rule is to know that you're not taking anything out of the woods that you haven't positively identified. That's just a common mistake, but it's a really big no-no. So get yourself familiarized. Start out slowly. Get with some people who, even if you can't get out, even if you aren't able to get out and get involved, watch videos. Even the experts, they all have videos. They all have YouTube channels. So I encourage you to start slowly. Make sure that when you find a wild mushroom, even if you do know exactly what you found, for sure that this is a chanterelle. You've positively identified that. Know for sure that you know the health condition of it, that it's not a sick species basically, or that it's not bugged out, that it's not too waterlogged. because chanterelles are going to be white through the middle. They're only look-alike, but is a dangerous, toxic edible. It's not an edible mushroom. It's a dangerous, toxic look-alike. It's called a jack-o'-lantern, and it's not white in the middle. It's solid. I mean, it's not solid throughout at all. It's hollow. It's orange. It's nothing like the inside of an actual chanterelle. But similarly, when I open up a chanterelle to see if it's white on the inside, I can see if it's bugged out and it has all these holes where bugs have been. And sometimes I don't mind that. Honestly, sometimes I don't mind that. I mean, it's actually roasting them. You know, depending on your foraging, experience and like where you're at. Yeah, you're not going to be taking things that are, and it's okay. It's perfectly fine to not take things when you think that they are too far gone, especially chanterelles is a better thing on the pointer. Chanterelles, they are different. They spore a little bit different than a lot of our wild mushrooms, so they have spores all over their bodies. If you find a patch of chanterelles and you're like, dang it, these are already bugged out, they're too waterlogged, I can't do anything with these, still take them and shred them up and throw them all around that area. Invest in that patch, and then you can come back later and that honey hole, that little area of chanterelles, I almost guarantee you will have increased in size. I've seen proof of that. So no real science behind that other than my own experience, but it's worked for me. So I do want to say that when you're foraging, something that's really important and that I didn't really know before I got certified is to make sure that you know the area really well that you're foraging. Know that there are no toxic pollutants. Know that if there's a creek by where you're foraging, know that's a clean creek. Know that if you're foraging in the city that it hasn't been sprayed with pesticides, there are toxic sprays and things like this. It's sometimes really tempting for me to want to get a mushroom right on the side of the road because that's where we're traveling most in our cars, right? So we're seeing more as we're going down the roads, but right on the side of the road is not a good place. Unfortunately, and sometimes we can, get away with it, but just remember, to be mindful of whether or not you're in a toxic area. We also need to know how to process what you want. Like if you're going into the forest because you want to find morels, and you've been doing this every year, you just want to find morel mushrooms. Do you know how you're going to prepare those when you find them? Do you know what you're going to do with those? Do you already know that? Have that in your mind. Go ahead and do your research on what you may find, what you want to find, and what you'll do with it when you find it. Because number one, I'm so super guilty of that. Taking something home and not having a plan for it, and then it goes bad, and then I have this, forager's guilt because I didn't use it for, something that I should have, honestly, because I didn't do my research beforehand. And that kind of goes along with what I said, starting slowly. Get some books, get in these groups, start watching videos. We're all guilty of doom scrolling. You're watching videos that are watch videos like this that will help you become a better forager, so that when springtime hits again, even right now, in the next 2 weeks, you're going to have some prime foraging. You're going to be able to find in the woods, chicken in the woods, lions, bears, everywhere in Georgia right now. If you're not getting it out there, you're not going to find it, And it's hard to find something that looks like a lion's mane up in the tree. It's like a soccer ball hanging up there. Just good luck getting it down and nobody get hurt and then saying it was their fault because I told you to do that. Remember to respect man and nature's laws. Don't get in trouble. Don't forage without permission. Obviously, we don't know to not forage on private property. But we just want to practice honorable foraging. Only harvest what you need. That's the main thing. If you only take what you need, it'll be okay. And then also remember that the mice, generally where a mushroom is growing, there are, for every step you take, there are 3 miles or something of mycelial network beneath your feet. So, that's already there. If you're finding mushrooms, there's a mycelial network in place. But try to keep that in mind, and when you take a mushroom, oftentimes, it makes for better processing later, easier processing later. When you take it from a mushroom, or harvest from a tree, or when you harvest a mushroom, you just kind of cut away at the bottom of the mushroom there, and just bring it out with you. We'll go over some simple kind of tools and just things like that. It's like that you need for foraging. A knife, I always recommend to have. And like I said, it's something that makes it so that you have less dirt to clean up later when you get home. something in the woods, taking garbage back out with you feels good. It really does. You're leaving the land improved, and then when you come back and you find mushrooms there later, you kind of think, huh, is this attributed, is this attributed to me and my good karma from everybody's making this place better? You never know. And so these are just some general rules, and then we pretty much covered most of those. But you do want to make sure to forage only where it's safe and legal. We are going to talk about the actual law. So you can forage on public lands where foraging is permitted. That's pretty much a given. But that means like a WMA, like wildlife management area, that's considered public land. But you should know that you can't really access wildlife management areas without either a fishing license, a hunting license, or a lands pass. I recommend the lands pass. They're $10. You can go to, I think it's GeorgiaOutdoors.org, and you know, you can get one of those, and then all of Georgia's WMAs, which are just miles and miles of forestry roads, just, forest that is all, like I said, natural wealth that is accessible to you, and that you should be taking advantage of. That's where I go often to find a lot of mushrooms. National forests. There is one of our national forests here in Georgia where they do not permit mushroom foraging. I think that's Oconee. But some of the other national forests, they have rules that sort of say that you need to go and register at ranger stations in some different states too. But mostly in Georgia, I think Oconee is the only, I'm fairly positive, national forest here in Georgia that you're not permitted to forage on. And then city parks, surprisingly enough, city parks are often will permit it right up the road in Gwinnett County, Yellow River. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that area, but that is a great place to forage. And a lot of the cities really do, they work really hard at keeping those places really good and clean. And I've been really comfortable in foraging in city parks over the past 3 years, so it surprised me because I'm a woods forager. And so, yeah. And then obviously private property with owner's permission. You'd be surprised how many people are excited to even let you just go ask for info. I've had people that I've noticed often driving by that they have mushrooms popping up on their property. I just stop and introduce myself, and they're more than happy, to let you know. If you offer to share with them, they are even more going to do so. And then this is kind of covering some of the equipment that you may need. You really don't need to invest in a lot. I recommend that you have some good ankle support, shoes or boots with ankle support. Have a knife, like I said. That's always just such a good thing to have. A brush has been something that's more recently been in my tool bag, and that has really been great for also just kind of cleaning up. But then you gotta remember, you're spreading spores when you're brushing out the woods too. So you're cleaning up off the butts of your chanterelles. If you find 80 chanterelles and you're picking them with a knife as you go, and then brushing them with a brush as you put them in the bag, then all you have to do when you get home is clean them. The rain is washed them. In general, unless they have dirt splashed on them, they're ready to go. Or they may need to rinse at most. And then garden scissors is something that I have a lot of herbalist friends, and they do not go foraging without their scissors, without their herb scissors, which I think is a great idea. And then foragers like to use wicker baskets, or you'll see them with a mesh bottom bags. It's really just a matter of personal preference. I use a bag that has a mesh bottom, so that my mushrooms, if I'm walking for miles, I know that they have good airflow to the mushroom, but I also know that all the stepping I'm doing, those mushrooms are bouncing, and I'm hoping that they're spreading spores. That's what we all do. But, let's see. And this is just another recap. Something I didn't mention is making sure that you have a mobile phone that has GPS, accessibility. Like a lot of people just don't like to give Google their permission. I have a lot of foraging friends, specifically, who are like, no, I don't use any of that. But I myself have gotten lost a couple times. And then you gotta remember too that a lot of times these good foraging places, like I was mentioning, the wildlife management areas, you learn to lose cell phone service literally once you get down in there. So it's not a bad idea to have yourself a little GPS device. I guidebook's always good. I know I can kind of touch now on apps. A lot of people ask me, like, what apps do you use for identifying, like, how do you confirm through an app? I use iNaturalistly a lot, and I use Google Lens, but I generally don't use an app unless I already have an idea of what that mushroom is. By now, that's just kind of my whole phone. I don't really pick the mushroom anymore, like I said, unless I know for sure what I'm picking. But sure you have water. That's a huge one. That's pretty much key. Here's just some common edibles. I'm sure you guys, anybody who's been in here earlier has already seen and heard of some of our awesome edible mushrooms here in Georgia. Like I heard I think it was like actually back in spring, I heard someone say that Georgia is known as the Pacific Northwest and Southeast, which I thought was really cool because we have so many varieties of good edible mushrooms. So yeah, morels, chanterelles, cinnamons, which are a little red chanterelle. I've found so many of those this year. I found the biggest cinnamons I've ever found this year. Me too. And honey mushrooms, which are right now are like people are finding those like crazy. Everybody down in our booth has been walking out with their phone like, what is this? What is every time it's been honey mushrooms? That's what you're finding. You're finding a cluster of mushrooms right now. It will not be nice. And then chicken of the woods. There are here in Georgia we have two species of chicken of the woods. There's a Lentiferous cincinnatus, which is the white core chicken of the woods, and then Lentiferous sulphureus, which we talked about, is the yellow bottomed. I've been finding the heck out of the yellow bottom this year, but the prize one is that white core. They're both really, really good eating. You found that you have found the true treasure. Lion's mane, which I found, and I've been foraging for years. I found my first wild lion's mane 2 weeks ago, and it was crazy. It was so intense, the whole process. We tried to get it out of this 25-foot. I used a tree to get it out of the tree. And I really mean that. Like I was standing under a tree with a dead tree, just like jumping up in the air trying to get this mushroom. But you'll find yourself doing some really, really funny things. But it's like really, I mean, you really are playing in the woods again. And it's a good thing. Like it really awesome. You're bringing home awesome stuff. The blues right there. I don't know if anybody's covered those today, but I found a ton of those this year. I felt so lucky. Those are blue milkies or indigo lactarius, and they're so good. And my little cousin, we made a vegan green eggs and ham with those. They tend to dye things blue, like and so I thought that was really cool. Wood-ear, this is the one, and this is hard to see, but this here is wood-ear, and I've got a ton of that this year. That is considered just like super choice gourmet edible, which I've been using it a lot this year for soup thickener, and supposedly, apparently has crazy health benefits. So just listing some of it. Actually, these are some of the ones that I've found this year, just didn't mention. But this year I've found chanterelles, morels, black trumpets, which are a really, really good type of chanterelles, honey mushrooms, wood ear, chicken of the woods, lion's mane, oyster mushrooms, hen of the woods, all three types of lactarius or the milkies, turkey tails, and the Anaderma species, which are like our reishi here. Also lobster mushroom, which is really cool. That's a thing in itself. I think I have a slide about lobster, which is really. These are some of the chanterelles. This is just one day where just like filled up my whole car seat. And this is nothing in comparison to like my best friend and I were foraging, and we found one day. It was insane how many. It would have taken the whole car, really. I felt like if we foraged the whole day, it just took everything that we could find. But chanterelles are good luck not finding those in Georgia. What you really want to look for is a system where there are basically 2 or more types of hardwood trees. They require, basically, I like to think of mushrooms as like a speech bubble between those hardwood trees. You got to think there's mycelium under the ground that's connecting those trees. And they literally communicate through those roots without white webbing. They tell each other, hey, you need water, you need lichen over here to protect you from blight, from this thing or that thing. They have internet. I mean, trees without internet is way, way longer than we have, which sounds silly, but it's really true. And mushrooms that grow in deciduous where other people are finding them. This year, okay, but then also, you know, I've always heard to look for sweet gum and tulip poplar and oak, and a mixture of those, and then I'll find my morels, right? But every morel I found this year was somewhere near a leaning cherry tree. So it's, you know, like, I know I've never read that anywhere, but I found most of my morels are on cherries this year, which is insane. But yeah, like I said, there's not always a rule of thumb, or, you know, you sometimes can learn things that nobody taught you, right? Nature taught you that. I found nothing with cherry trees this year. This is a good visual for you. I was super happy to find this video to show. The ones on the left are the jack-o'-lanterns, and you see how similar those gills are. Right there in the second, right there, how much that looks like a chanterelle to the right. I mean, I wouldn't know that if I didn't take that apart and pull it apart. It's so important when we find a mushroom that you don't know that it's, whether or not it's a chanterelle. It's so important to go ahead and pull it apart, like I said. And on the inside of it, if it's a chanterelle, it'll be white. So then, but the inside of the jacks are, it's hollow, they're mushy, they're orange throughout. Just always remember that. It pulls apart like string cheese, like mozzarella string cheese from when they're given. You have good chanterelles. Nothing else does that. Is that mustard colored yellow or that bright yellow white inside. And like I said, if you're anytime between late April to, I mean, early October, good luck not finding them if you're in the right spots. Morels in Georgia are super lucky because we have lawns, blacks, and then we had tulip morels. This year I was lucky to find lawns in Georgia, which was amazing because I only worked on tulip morels, which are generally kind of smaller, but I found lawn ones this year too. And then this is a super important thing, although I've only found false morels twice, and when I found them I was in Tennessee, but it's just a really good thing to know. When you find a morel, it will have this honeycomb weird pattern, you know, the structure that is unlike anything else in the woods. You don't see anything else like that. Nothing else in the woods is like that. The only look-alike is a false morel, and you see how it just kind of looks like a brain? Like it's very brain-like, and it's not hollow. Morels are hollow throughout. Oftentimes, like even a haul of morels might be 8 morels. So you want to take those home and cut them in half for your meal anyway, so you have 16. You know, that's just kind of that's how morels go. You don't find any good luck. If you guys are finding that many morels, you don't get any luck. But the inside of the false morel is this cotton-like stuff. It's just weird string cotton, and the inside of the morel is totally hollow. Like I said, the top of the false morel will have this braiding thing, and it doesn't have that honeycomb sort of structure that you see with morel. But it is really important to pay attention because false morels grow where true morels are. People talk about false turkey tails. You know how many people really worry about the false turkey tail? These will make you sick. So you need to really make sure. And jack-o'-lanterns will definitely make you sick. That's something that I should have probably touched on a little bit more. So it is very, very important to know the difference between the toxic and the edibles because I don't want to stigmatize that. Like your grandma was right. We'll get very sick if we eat the wrong thing. We just need to know which ones are the right. And there are 39 choice edible mushrooms here in Georgia that you can be walking out and getting. So that's not good those. Just some good visual examples. There's a black trumpet and the black chanterelle I was talking about. Wood ears. And then two of these are both types of the juniper woods, the white gourd and the yellow gourd, Cincinnatus and the sulphurus. It's important to remember if you do find these that you can cook them well, especially the yellow gourd. They have a lot of sulfur in them, so they can make your tummy sick if you don't cook them very, very well. Lion's mane, this is the one I was just talking about. I just found this. And yeah, it's like a trophy piece for me. It was amazing. I actually was able to clone this and take it to a mushroom farm. The horticulture, shout out to them. They're downstairs, and you guys should go shop with them if you want some fresh mushrooms. They are awesome. They taught me everything I know about cultivation, about mushroom cultivation in general. But also recently trained It's so cool and it looks great. So my first one is doing great. And then I wanted to touch on that, the benefits of lion's mane. It stimulates the growth of brain cells and protects them from damage. There are people who have had just a simple, not simple, but concussion, right? And they bounce back with lion's mane. And then people who have had very, very serious brain injuries who have been able to, get back to full function with the use of lion's mane. It does boost your immune system, it helps lower blood sugar. It helps relieve anxiety and depression. I know that I personally have anxiety and I try to battle it as best I can naturally, and lion's mane and reishi are both amazing for that. And I'll tell you, the way that you know something like that is working is if you have like a reishi tincture and you think, this is helping me maybe with my anxiety, test yourself. When you run out of it, go a week without it. And then you'll know, when you put it in and you can feel the difference, then you know it was really working for you. Don't let these things be gimmicky. This is ancient medicine and it really does work for a reason. Also, stomach issues. Like I just have a sore tummy. I don't know, it's an undiagnosed thing. I've always had, and like I said, I have anxiety, so it could just be attributed to that. I feel like Lawrence really, really helps with that. Just recently, I had what I think was maybe strep throat. It seemed like I was going to be sick for about a week. I really just dumped lion's mane powder from the horticulture into soups I was making at home. I just put like a quarter cup into these soups, and I was totally better in 48 hours. No sore throat. I went from like not being able to speak to no sore throat or anything, or even more anything, which is just odd. But the only thing I did, nothing over the counter, nothing prescribed. The only thing I did different was lion's mane powder. And so then, like I mentioned before, it has been proven to speed up recovery time for nervous system injuries. There's also scientific proof now that it is reversing early onset dementia for people. So read about lion's mane, take it seriously, the benefits are crazy. And here's some pictures of some nice oyster that I found this year. Oyster mushroom, just are you can find those in the summer and the winter. I have really good success finding them. Something I'll tell you another pointer, like I said, about the chanterelles, how it's scattered them about. Remember how I said if you find the oysters and they're a little too far gone for you to take, just kind of massage them into the bark. There they are. Just kind of like take and wipe down. You don't even have to like do anything else. Just kind of, they're already too waterlogged for you to take, right? They're already too buggy for you to take. Just kind of smear it. And I promise you, you'll find more oysters in that same spot. If you find that the bark is clogged, you can kind of just take pieces from there and kind of tuck it. This is a good mix for these sports. And like I said, these are like my stocks. These are my stocks and dogs that I invest in this. This is my taki. These are everywhere right now in the woods. These are so good for you. Just look at the base of trees. If you're out foraging right now, they are popping. And they're so good. They're just an amazing animal. I like them particularly woods. What people rave about. I think the woods of taki is much better. And then honey mushrooms, like I mentioned before, they are everywhere right now. People are finding them and are like, what do I do with this? If you find it on your property and you have positively identified that this is a honey mushroom, get it up. Because honey mushrooms, while they are choice, edible, and they're medicinal, they are there to parasitize your healthy tree. So sometimes ethics and law kind of have this weird crossing when it comes to mushrooms because it's against the law of the National Forest for me to take a mushroom from a tree that's not already dead. I can't take from a living tree, but I know for a fact that these are only there to help the wood. So it's kind of, maybe there's just a lot of misinformation there. But if you find these on the property, get them stipend, even if you're not interested in eating them. If you're interested in keeping your tree, then make sure you get rid of that mushroom because if not, the mushroom's going to get rid of your tree. These are just some good examples of those milkies I was talking about before, and the way you'll know when you found a milky or Literius mushrooms, when you flip it over and you kind of just cut along the gills, it brings forth this milk, and it's just the coolest thing. You can just watch this white milk come to the surface before I hop off is I want to know too, like how many of you are already avid foragers? Okay, that's cool. All right, and then the rest of you are hoping to start foraging, right? And you're going to get out in the woods and they're going to do that. Y'all follow me. My Instagram is Flossie, Flossie, May with an underscore in it. And I'm all over Georgia, always happy to do forages and walks, happy to come and do consultations and whatever. And like I said, I live in the Athens area, but I'm bouncing all over Georgia all the time. And even in other states, I'm doing forages and walks and talks and stuff. And I'm always